Hello and welcome to another Global News Alliance training session. Our topic today is editing, also known as post-production. After the footage has been captured, the interview sound bites have been selected, and the voiceover narration has been recorded, it's time to put it all together using a video editing software application. This is actually one of my favorite parts of the production process, and it's an opportunity to really be creative. I trust that you were successful in downloading and opening the VN editing app on your smartphone. The VN app will also work on a tablet or on a desktop or laptop, and if that's available to you, you may find that the larger screen is a benefit during the editing process. The screenshots that I've included in this tutorial will be from the desktop version of VN, so it may look a little different on your phone or tablet. The editing app that I'm recommending is VN, simply because it's free, it's multi-platform, and it's quite good. There are editing apps that are better, and there are some that are also free, but of the free editing apps out there, VN seems to be one of the best. You may have heard of CapCut, which is another very powerful phone-based editing app, but I don't use it because they're owned by the same people who own TikTok. And you have to be careful where your data goes when you're using some of these free apps from certain countries. So the VN video editing app, I'll provide some simple descriptions of how to use the app to perform simple video editing of your news story footage. Even this basic app, however, is quite powerful. So to learn more about it, I would highly recommend that you watch a couple of YouTube tutorials. One that I highly recommend is from Primal Video, and it is their updated tutorial for beginners published in late 2023. So now you should have the VN app downloaded on your phone, and hopefully you've opened it up and you've taken a look at it. One of the first things you have to do when you're ready to start a new project on VN, you have to press the button down in the bottom corner. It's a blue button with a plus sign. This will take you to a screen that has another button that says New Project. Once you press that, it will take you to your camera roll, and that's the place on your phone where your photos and videos are stored. When you select clips in the camera roll, it will order them 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. However many you select. So let's suppose that you select 5 of them. 1 will be labeled 1, then 2, then 3, etc. So here I've selected 5 clips, and they have a little blue circle, and they're numbered 1 through 5. The idea is to select them in the order that you plan to use them in your piece, but sometimes you don't always know, and you can rearrange them later. But it's good, if you can, to select them in the order that you want to use them. When you click Next, it drops those 5 clips into the timeline. So the timeline is the part right down here, and you can scroll forward or back through that. As I do, the monitor picture changes to show which clip I'm on. At the top, you'll see something that right now says Original, but it gives you multiple choices. Original matches the source material. 1:1 is a square video aspect ratio, and it also has social media icons there. TikTok, you can see, is the third one over. Next is a YouTube symbol, and YouTube is 16:9. Then it has Instagram, which is 4:5. There's a bunch of choices. So we're working on the assumption that for video stories produced for GNA, that you're going to deliver the final product in 1080 16:9 aspect ratio. If that's what you selected for your phone settings, you could choose Original now that it's time to edit. So you can stay in the Original, or you can select YouTube 16:9, and it will be the same thing if you shot horizontally with your phone at 1080. Now, when you selected several video clips, it put them in order on the main video track. If you look right below the main video track, you'll see a waveform of the audio that accompanies that video. Above the main video track is where the B-roll or overlays are inserted. The next track above that is titles, and the next track above that is music. You can expand and contract the timeline by pinching or squeezing the timeline. So if you want to see more detail, if you want it to be larger and you need more precise control over where your in point and out point is, you can expand the timeline by pinching it out, or you can pinch it together to make the timeline contract. Take a look at this example of an editing timeline. The main video track is the one that's indicated as A-roll. This track contains clips from an interview, and the man in the t-shirt is being interviewed. You can see there are multiple cuts, and there are about 8 clips in the A-roll track. So that we don't have a whole bunch of jump cuts, we inserted 4 B-roll shots in the B-roll track above that. The blue tracks below the main audio are the audio waveform indicating audio that accompanies the main video tracks or A-roll tracks. The tracks below that are probably music or nat sound. When you build video tracks one above the other, whatever's on top is what you see in the final output. The top video track hides whatever's below it. But in the case of audio, it doesn't hide what's below it. You hear all the audio on all the tracks. So that's something you have to be careful of and you'll want to pay attention to. There's one thing that you're going to want to be able to change, and that is the volume of certain audio clips. You're going to want some audio to be louder and other audio, for instance, nat sound or background sound, to be quieter. And you do that by adjusting the volume of the clip. Sometimes you'll want the volume of the audio to change from loud to quiet or quiet to loud, and for that you need to use keyframes. Keyframes, whether it's for audio or video, simply allow you to identify a part of a clip where you want something to change. In this instance, we'll use keyframes to change the audio volume. Here's a case where we want the nat sound to start at full volume and then become quieter as the interviewee begins to speak. Another very important concept is what's called J or L cuts. A J cut or an L cut, if you think about the letter J or the letter L, what we're basically saying is that the audio and video cut at different places. In other words, we hear the audio before the video appears, or we see the video before the audio begins. The cut doesn't happen on the same frame. They're offset. Either the audio precedes the video or the audio follows the video. That's called a J cut or an L cut, depending on whether it precedes it or follows it. The reason why J cuts are often used is because of the way that we behave naturally when a sound catches our attention. First we hear the sound, and then we turn to look at the source of the sound. It's actually a very natural transition to hear audio before you see what is producing that audio, and that's where you want to use a J cut. I'm not going to say much about stock footage, but know that there are places you can find and locate B-roll footage that you might not be able to shoot on your own, but might be useful to your story. When you don't have access to shoot a particular shot, you might consider looking for stock footage that you can use. Here's a short segment from a video that I produced that is about artificial intelligence, and it uses some stock footage that I was unable to shoot myself.
No doubt you've heard about artificial intelligence, but what is it, and why should the church care?
Artificial intelligence, AI, refers to the simulation of human intelligence in machines that are programmed to think and mimic human-like cognitive functions.
Artificial intelligence is growing at a rate faster than any previous technology. The rapid advancement is enabling innovative...
That piece was about artificial intelligence and the church, but some of those shots at the very beginning were stock footage. The laptop computer was footage that I shot, but starting with the AI graphic, the clip of the gal with the code on the screen, and this shot of them looking at a screen, that's not something that I had easy access to shoot. So I got those from a stock footage library, and I think they worked out okay. By the way, the voiceover narration that you heard in the piece, and let me play a short clip for you just again real quickly.
No doubt you've heard about artificial intelligence, but what is it, and why should the church care?
Artificial intelligence, AI, refers to the simulation of human intelligence in machines that are programmed.
That's an AI-generated voiceover and is from a website called 11labs.io. The male voiceover narration and the woman's voice at the beginning, giving a definition of artificial intelligence. That was also an AI voice that was generated by that same website. So I just typed in my script, selected the kind of voice that I wanted, and downloaded the file and edited it into the piece. So just so you know, there are alternatives to voicing a piece yourself. Like any skill worth developing, video editing takes practice. Go out and shoot an interview and some B-roll and then start editing that footage using the editing app on your phone. As always, we're united in our goal and purpose. Our mission at Global News Alliance is to tell the greatest story ever told and to equip others to tell their stories using the available technology. Thank you for watching, and God bless you.